Stitch and Seam. I'm Pannon.
I'm Fire.
And I'm David.
Hello, David.
Yeah.
Hello, Mercedes.
Hello, Pannon.
It's been a while.
It has. How are you feeling? Are you doing okay?
I am recovering. I am still a little loopy, but doing okay. Had ankle reconstruction surgery, so that's super fun. But I'm excited because it means I'll be able to wear all the fun cosplay shoes in the future without falling over.
Nice.
In theory.
In theory.
I
If
have
you would
fine
like to
ankles
share-
and I still fall over.
Speaking of theories, if you'd like to share your favorite fan theories, your stories from home, what are you recovering from right now? You can do that at cosplaystationseam@gmail.com or
Or go to the Shiny website, fill out the Shiny forms on there at cosplaystationseam.com, or
Go to the Facebook page. And while you're on the Facebook page, join our fantastic community for our Work in Progress Wednesdays. There's a link on our website and also a link to our Discord server where we have a really just chill time. We have our own channel for Work in Progress Wednesdays, another channel dedicated to horror stories. If I can say the word horror, not well today. Horror. And while you're on the internet, if you would like to help out the show, we would greatly appreciate any way that you can do that. You can leave us a review, tell a friend. We do have a coffee account, KOFI, Cosplay Stitch, and a Patreon, patreon.com/Cosplay Stitch. And for $3 a month, we will give you a shout out on the show every single episode. And for $5 a month, you can join our Cosplay Chronicles! Woo!
oh yeah.
It's been so exciting to see what everything was coming up. We took a break for the month of July. We had too many birthdays. We had too many COVIDs. We had too many surgeries. It was all just a mess. So we're really excited for August to get back into it and cannot wait to share those stories with you.
Yay, dig it. As always, if you guys want to check out foxbeauty.store, you can use their promo code Stitch and Seam to get 10% off your purchase of all vegan, not tested on animal products. Yeah, they have all kinds of sparkly, glittery goodness. And speaking of, we are actually going to start doing some like fandom-focused episodes talking about fandoms through the ages, talking about popular fandoms. And to kick this off, we actually have a guest today who suggested our first one and suggested the idea. We have Katie Cosplays. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Katie.
Hi, so my name is Katie Cosplays. I am a cosplayer based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in the game for a long while now. And like Pannon, we share a common history. We're both World Cosplay Summit champions for Team USA.
That is true.
Yeah.
So cool.
Amazing. So, Katie, where can we find you online?
You can find me on most social media, like Instagram and Twitter. Not that I use my Twitter very often, at Katie Cosplays. I'm also on Facebook, but I'm /Katie Cosplay. Both of those are S-less, so just Katie Cosplay. And I'm also on TikTok, but there I am Katie Cosplays ATL because I was too late to the game on TikTok, so Katie Cosplays was already taken by a young child who I don't think actually cosplays.
Aww.
Darn it.
Maybe eventually, right?
Yeah. Maybe aspirational, perhaps.
There you go. Good idea. Just get him into it early. So, Katie, would you like to introduce our theme for today? For which fandom we're covering?
I sure would. I am dressed appropriately. I've got my buns in my hair. I've got my pigtails. We are covering Sailor Moon cosplay today.
Yes, I'm so excited. One of my absolute favorite fandoms. So, you would never have guessed this about me. So, Katie, just a little bit more about you before we get into Sailor Moon. What got you into cosplay in the first place?
Well, funny you should ask. What got me into cosplay in the first place was definitely Sailor Moon. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 12 years old, surfing the internet, looking for pictures of Sailor Moon because, that's what we did back in the day. We would collect every piece of like every scrap of
Oh my gosh, I had a
of the
binder.
fandom that we could find online, right? Every photo, every image, like fan art, promotional pieces, like, but that was pre-YouTube even. So, any sort of like little gifs of video clips from the anime we could find. And in doing all of this searching, so I could save every Sailor Moon photo on the internet to my computer, I came across a girl who had posted a tutorial of her showing how she styles her hair like Sailor Moon. And I don't remember why I don't know why I remember this, but her name was Denise. I remember her
I think I
name.
remember that exact tutorial though. No,
You did, like with
honestly.
Denise, she was blonde, she had no bangs,
Yeah,
yes. Oh my god, I love that. Okay, so Denise was a member of Sailor Jamboree, which was this group that did covers of the Sailor Moon musicals.
Oh
And
yeah.
in finding her tutorial that led me down to Sailor Jamboree led me to cosplay and also anime conventions. So I was 12 years old in Fairhope, Alabama, like just, drooling over images of these girls dressing up in the like, shiny, over the top, ridiculous Sailor
my
Moon
gosh.
costumes, thinking to myself, like, that'll never be me. I'll never get to go to a convention. I live in Alabama. I'm never going to get an opportunity like that. They're so cool. They're so lucky.
Oh, I just like that is such a nostalgia bomb because I remember so much of that growing up. It's amazing.
Like I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, how do I remember her name? How do I? I was 12.
Oh my goodness, it's so true. So speaking of cosplay and Sailor Moon, since that's the one that got you into it, what was your first Sailor Moon cosplay?
Well, what's funny is, so my first costume, I made it in 2004, and that was when I went to my first anime convention. I went to Anime Weekend Atlanta in 2004. But Sailor Moon was so far out of my my scope of ability at the time that it took me until 2007 to make my first Sailor Moon costume. But technically, if we are like looking to one of my first ever cosplay attempts, when I was 13 years old, I found a blue skirt from a thrift store, a white top from my closet. I grabbed some fabric from my my grandma's collection of fabric because she was a seamstress, and using Photoshop, because even at age 13, I had my own pirated copy of Photoshop.
Heck
So
yeah.
using Photoshop and tape, I put together my own Sailor Moon costume. And like, I was even talking to my mom about it the other day, and she was like, and I was trying to ask her for a photo so I could put together a video from this like trend for Instagram Reels. And she was like, "You mean the photo from that time that I caught you in the kitchen and you hid behind the counter and then you came out and you were like wearing a taped together Sailor Moon costume?" And I was like, "Yes, that photo." Like I was so embarrassed and ashamed that she like caught me in my like doing a little self shoot in my costume.
Wow.
So yeah, that was my first Sailor Moon costume, but it was
Amazing.
it was mostly tape and Photoshop.
Nice.
Love it.
Oh
Absolutely
my goodness.
amazing.
So let's compare it to what's been your most recent Sailor Moon build.
So the most recent Sailor Moon build that I actually finished is my Sailor Pluto costume, and that is my I'm losing count. That is like at least I'll have to count it up and then get back to you. But that is at least my 5th Fuku, I think, at this point.
Oh,
And
goodness.
just for anyone who is not aware, Fuku is like the fandom name for what we call the like traditional Sailor Moon transformation outfit. It's called Fuku, which just means uniform in Japanese, but in our fandom it means the Sailor Moon outfit, like the uniform.
Yep.
This is good
That's
information
excellent.
for me. Okay.
That's so cool.
I'm learning stuff.
and-
I've heard Fuku before, and I didn't know that's what it meant.
Yeah.
Seifuku.
Yes, Seifuku. We've heard about your first and your most recent. What plans do you have for a new one going forward? Or is there like a dream Sailor Moon cosplay you haven't done yet?
Oh my god. See, the thing is with Sailor Moon cosplay for me is that there is no end in sight for like the
Right.
number of costumes that I want to make from the series. Like there's
Mhm.
always even though it's such an old series and they're not exactly like they're not expanding upon the story, there are still so many more costumes left for me to do because of how iconic so many costumes are from the series. So
Right.
I've got Queen Serenity is in progress as we speak. I've
Nice.
got another costume
Ooh.
lined up. It, I don't know. Okay, I was trying to remember if I was like keeping it a secret or not, but I'm very, very tall. I am 5'10", and one of my
Nice.
best friends is very, very short. My friend Ricky is 5'1", and so I approached her with an idea. I was like, Ricky, we have to do the episode where Super Sailor Chibi Moon gets huge and
Oh,
Super
cute.
Sailor Moon turns into like a little girl. They like switch
Yeah.
ages for an episode. And I was like, we have to do those, but I'll be like giant Super Chibi Moon and you'll be tiny Super Sailor Moon. And she was like, okay,
Yes.
but we got to do it quick because I'm going to age out of Fuku soon. I was like, okay, girl.
Oh,
Got
that's
you.
so cute. Oh, I love that.
Aww.
Oh my goodness. Makes all my little like Sailor Moon cosplay bugs want to make new things.
Yeah.
I know. So we know Sailor Moon's been around for a while. Like you've even mentioned, like it's so iconic. It's been around for like over 25 years. Has manga, anime, kids books, live action, dozens of musicals. The new anime. It continues to be such a popular series. So why do you think it has such staying power?
You know, I think about it a lot, and I think it primarily comes down to two things. The first thing to me is the aesthetic. The aesthetic of Sailor Moon, if you are the type of person drawn to that, I think it kind of grabs onto you and doesn't let go. There's just something about the aesthetic and how iconic it is that, wherever you go, if you see merchandise, I'm just like, I need it. I must have it. I want it. I want it
Uh-huh.
on me. I want it in front of my face all day long while I work. Like I need it on my body. I think that's part of it. And then I think the other thing comes down to, like the famous quote, when Naoko Takeuchi was asked, why did you create Sailor Moon? She said, I was like in a low point of my life, and I wanted to tell a story about girls who I would want to be my friends, like a group of girls who I would want to be my best friends. I'm probably misquoting it.
Aw.
But I feel like that's it right there. Like at its core, it is a story about female friendship and empowerment through friendship.
I love
Yes.
that. I love that
That's
so
so
much.
cute.
So you, Katie, why personally are you a fan? What like made you stick with it?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I said about it putting its hooks in me and just not being able to let it go. Like I recently even had to go on a like a moratorium for buying Sailor Moon merchandise because like while my mom came to visit me here in Atlanta, I received like 2 or 3 packages in the mail with Sailor Moon merchandise, like orders I'd placed online that
Mhm.
showed up as she was there. And she was like, don't you have enough Sailor Moon merchandise? And I was like,
No,
like
never.
I'll never have enough. And and I follow collectors, so I feel like I've got nothing compared to like the serious
Mm.
collectors.
Yeah.
I don't have I'm not gonna curse. I was gonna say I don't have hooey compared to them. So like I feel like these days I was like trying to play catch up, trying to play catch up to the collectors. And then when she kind of pointed that out to me, I was like, you know what? Maybe she's right. She even made some comments. She was like, what do you think you spend a year? Thousands? And in my head, I was like,
No.
probably. And so
that.
I went on a break for like 3 months. Maybe it was more than, gosh, I hope it was more than 3 months. But for several months, I did not buy anything Sailor Moon, and it was really hard. And I feel like I was rewarded because two company, like in my moratorium, two companies where I'd like held off on buying their merchandise reached out to me and they were like, hey, we love your Sailor Moon content. Can we send you some merchandise?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so glad because I was going to buy it if you didn't. So I'm really, really glad this happened. And then that ended it. It was over after that. I started buying again.
Is all that good karma you built up by
Yeah.
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 Love that. So you talked about how it celebrates like female friendships and gosh, how do I want to say this? What do you feel like has given it appeal to a new audience today? Like what made them want to reboot it, and what do you think is like drawing young fans to it?
That's a hard question to answer because when I watch Crystal, I feel like Crystal is definitely like lacking some of the soul of the original Sailor Moon series. And I definitely think that if I were not a fan as a child, as like a young girl, when anime was scarce and like, not just easy to come by, if you put Sailor Moon, the original, in front of me today, I'd probably be like, oof, like I'd be like, this is pretty old. This is made for children, and if you put Crystal in front of me, I'd be like, wow, what a rushed story about beautiful aesthetics and like, gorgeous outfits and, iconic looking characters. But I just don't think it would have really grabbed me. So I do think that anyone who is, let's say, like above the age of, I don't know, let's say anyone in adulthood who gets into Sailor Moon today, I would love to tap their, like, to ask them, like, what is it? Like, what got you into the fandom? Because I don't think it would work on me if you tried to put it in front of me today. Like, for example, I've gone back and tried to watch, like, Hunter x Hunter, and it's just like, it's not there for me. And I think it's because I don't have the nostalgia goggles that a lot of people have with series like Hunter x Hunter. Like, and this is like a big confession, but like Utena is a series that I don't know why I couldn't get into Utena, and maybe it's because I like just need to sit down now that they've like made it prettier and like upgraded it to Blu-ray quality. I should try and sit down with it again. But I feel like you had to be there for certain series, and that's how I feel about Sailor Moon. So I'm mystified and amazed when people connect with it, unless they're children. If they're children, it makes perfect sense. Like they don't pick up on like, this is from 1997, or this is from 1991. I think they're just like, this is the best. And I'm like, you're right.
I think there's a good like argument to be said there, because I watched like a few episodes on Toonami for Sailor Moon here and there. I remember being like, I don't know, really young and going on a camping trip where we had a VCR, and I remember playing the same blockbuster Sailor Moon clip over and over again. And just the intro was enough that my parents would go, "Oh Lord, not again." But like I started rewatching it myself, like actually consistently, and I'm only like 10, 12 episodes in. And there's this kind of like informational knowledge of like, oh my gosh, this is where a lot of tropes began. Right? Like, I think about how Netflix just announced that they're going to be doing a live action Yu Yu Hakusho. And Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my favorites. And there's a lot of like, oh, I'm really excited. Oh no, they were going to ruin it. But at the same time, like, no matter what, there's going to be audience members that go, oh, I remember how good that was when I was a kid. Let me go rewatch that old thing again. Or I can't imagine that would be any better than the animated show. Let me check out the animated show because I never watched it. So you get the opportunity to see where these tropes come from, where a lot of people are like making references to it. Like everybody knows it's a JoJo's reference, but like, is it actually a JoJo's reference, or is it something that they're like, oh, creatively they were inspired by these older anime,
Totally.
Nice. I like that.
They're all JoJo's references.
Yeah, they are all JoJo's references. So Katie, tell us a little bit more about your love of Sailor Moon. Who is your favorite character?
Okay, so everyone expects my favorite character to be Sailor Jupiter because like she's tall like me. I
Mhm.
cosplay her the most. Everyone expects it. And while I do connect with Mako because, she's tall but feminine, which like
Mm.
really spoke to me.
Oh yeah.
And like
Mhm.
boy crazy that spoke to me too. A lot of times the tall characters in anime, Pan, and I don't know if you like feel the same way
Oh
or
yeah.
if ever noticed this, but like the trope of a tall character is usually stoic,
Mhm.
quiet, like badass, but and a lot of times like not very femme, like usually pretty, if not fully masculine, like
Mhm.
just not girly. And I loved the fact that she was this tall character who towered over all of her friends, but was like me, was girly, silly, boy crazy, loud. So that's why I connected with Mako. But my real favorite character is Sailor Moon, and it's for the reason of her being the most iconic. Like she is the aesthetic of the show. So if you look at my collection, I'm not buying tons and tons of Sailor Jupiter merch. Whenever I have to, like, I'm trying to budget and choose between do I get Jupiter or do I get Moon, I almost always default to Moon. And
Mhm.
a lot of time it's her character too. She's the main, she's the one who always saves the day.
Mhm.
She's the princess.
Uh-huh.
So my favorite is Usagi.
Yeah, that I vibe with so much of that exactly because I was always the tall one. Love Mako. She's she was like a breath of fresh air when I was a kid watching the show because I was just like she can kick people butt and she also cooks and sews and likes to wear pinks. So
Yes. Yes, all of that. Agreed.
but yeah, Sailor Moon I I don't know. She's just always been my favorite, and so I love that other tall cosplayers also love to cosplay Sailor Moon because it makes me a little bit better when I'm Sailor Moon and towering over all my friends.
Yeah.
Um,
In fact, like speaking of iconic moments, I will
hmm.
never forget the first time that I saw well, I guess the first and the last time, but when I saw your Princess Serenity costume in
Oh,
person, because I
yeah,
judged it, remember, for World
yeah, I
Cosplay
do.
Summit
Uh-huh.
2013. I remember thinking, like, this is one of the most beautiful
Oh,
Serenity costumes that I've ever seen. It gave me couture vibes. It,
oh,
it
thank
it was the
you.
first time I had ever seen, especially in person, but I
Aw.
think ever had seen a Serenity that kind of took that couture inspiration and put it into a costume from Sailor Moon. And
Oh, wow.
like Dia and Elizabeth, for example, like those are two World Cosplay Summit cosplayers who like took
Mm.
couture and brought it into cosplay and
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
were like, whoa. But your Serenity was unforgettable.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
about it. I think about it regularly. And then also, you were like, you're the first time I'd ever like looked up at a Serenity cosplayer, like literally, like physically looked upwards, and that was so inspiring to me too.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you. So, speaking of iconic moments, was wondering what your favorite like either episode or moment in the story for Sailor Moon, like what stood out to you and made you just like love the series?
You know, that's an excellent question. I don't know if I have a great answer to this. Um, I think the one thing that I really loved, and I can remember like showing the series to my cousins, and my cousins weren't super into anime, but I can
Mhm.
remember one of my younger cousins watching it and saying something like, "Oh, when she transforms into Sailor Moon, she gets so much prettier."
Ew.
And which, like, if you actually look at, if you compare, like, especially in the 90s, like the early 90s animation, like season 1, season
Mhm.
2, if you compare the way that they draw Usagi versus the way that they draw Sailor Moon,
Mhm.
she gets more accessorized. She kind of has like a bit of a glow up.
Right.
It's the earrings, it's the tiara, it's the time. They probably spend more time and like slow down when they draw her for those particular scenes, and it's true. And I feel like that to me probably like grabbed onto me as a child, and it also probably has a lot to do with why I like cosplay. It is because I get to feel like, oh, I'm just a normal person, and nobody would turn their head if I'm like walking past them on the streets. But when you put on a costume, like suddenly people are like, whoa, and turning their heads, and you feel like a celebrity. So that's a weird way to answer that question, because it's more like a general vibe, but than a particular scene. But I don't know. I'll keep thinking on the scene and see if I can come up with something.
Oh man, I don't know. For me, it was like
that
this
idea of
season
transforming is great.
It is. Like, I think that's what stood out to me when I first started watching it. Like, I saw the first episode and I was like, what the heck did she just do? Like, she just got covered in ribbons and sparkles.
Yeah.
For me, one of the most iconic moments, because I, of course, saw the, like, old English dub from Deke. But, like, the end of season 1, when they do the, like, the fight with Beryl, and they're all there around the, like, crescent wand.
Yes.
And, I don't know.
And
like, it just gave me such goosebumps. Yeah.
Oh, totally. You're right. That is like a beautiful, perfect moment. So true.
Let's see. So you have told us that you may not have the most extensive Sailor Moon collection, but you have a pretty good one. Pretty sizable. What would you say is the piece you're most proud of in your collection?
My crown jewel.
Yes.
That's a great question. I think the thing that stands out, and I'm like turning around and looking into my Sailor Moon bathroom.
Which one?
To make this call, but it has to be the crescent wand, because it being her first weapon, that makes it it's the most memorable. Like when you think of Sailor Moon iconography, you think of the crescent moon wand. So that one like was a gift from a friend, and I definitely think it sent me down the dark path of gotta catch 'em all, of actually starting a collection, because I've never been much of a collector. Like I'm just such a cheapskate. I don't like spending money. I'm very like tight-fisted. So him kind of, I guess, presenting me with this gift definitely started to like break the seal on not collecting the expensive toys, only collecting like the cheapo figures, like figures if it was less than $40, I would buy the figure. And then I've gotten a little bit different since then.
See, I was gonna ask if it was the like old 90s Sailor Moon crescent wand, or if it was the new like pretty Proplica one.
I have both. And the reason why I have both is because my cousin Hillary bought the wand, or rather, I think her friend bought the wand for her, because her friend was like a childhood Sailor Moon fan, gave it to her. And Hillary probably, when she was like 12 or 11, gave it to me, because she was like, well, Katie, I just have this. You love this. Here, have this wand. So I do have the classic wand, but the one that's like the one that I think is the new one, the figure arts one, is the one that started it all.
Oh, nice. That's so awesome. Like I have that old one as well, but mine, when you stick the gemstone in and push play, it like sounds like it's cursed by a demon. It doesn't do the sparkly noise. It does this like it's been well loved.
Possessed noise.
Yeah.
Oh,
possessed for sure.
There's so many good things out there though. Let's see.
So I'm going to ask a taboo question.
Ooh.
What would it take to separate you from that most cherished?
Like from that particular the figure arts toy? Yeah.
So if I were to put down a dollar amount of money right now, right? And I'm not saying that I'm actually going to make an offer at all. I don't have that kind of money.
Of course.
I spend it all on microphones. What would be that dollar amount for both of you? What would that dollar amount be to like, ooh, yeah, I can't pass up on that amount?
I mean, honestly, for me right now, there is no amount, because if you took it out of my collection would be incomplete, and I would just use the money to buy a new one. So I'm like, what's the point?
That's a very good answer.
My brain just went, look at this stuff, isn't it neat?
Precisely. Same energy.
For me, my favorite piece of merch is I got the star locket from the original anime. And I wanted, like, back in the day, I remember being at a like KB toy store, if that tells you how old I am. And they had the crescent wand or they had the locket, and I wanted them both, and my mom made me pick. I only get one. And I always regretted not getting the locket. And then, like, back in the day, they went on auction on eBay for like hundreds of dollars because people were insane to get them.
Wow.
And then they did a reprint, and I was so excited because I could finally get one. And so me, that would be my like prize jewel favorite piece.
What happened to it?
I still have it. I still have it today.
Okay.
I just back in the day I picked the wand, and I should have picked the locket, but yeah, as soon as they came available again and they started doing that remake of them, I was like, first in line, give me that. So it is a newer piece and stuff, but it has a lot of like sentimentality behind it because I remember just longing for it as a kid.
That's funny.
And so yeah, it's hard to put a price tag on it.
Yeah. I don't collect the vintage because I feel like that's a gateway that I don't want to go down. I don't. I can't.
I will say with like some of my more rare comic books that I have, I do every now and again look at what the auction pricing is. And it's fun to watch it like go up and down and whatnot. But then you think about it for a little too long and you go, oh, but I could buy X, Y, and Z. No. It's in my collection. It stays there.
So speaking of all the like fandom stuff, obviously you've done like tons of cosplay, you collect stuff. What do you feel is like the nerdiest Sailor Moon fandom confession that you have? Like, what is the nerdiest Sailor Moon related thing you've ever done?
I mean, aside from like hiding behind the kitchen counter at age 13, so my mom like wouldn't catch me in my Ratchet Sailor Moon costume. The second nerdiest thing I've done is I probably like, I have a whole Sailor Moon bathroom.
Nice.
That's pretty gosh darn nerdy. And then I've also done a Sailor Moon fan film. Despite a complete lack of acting ability. So I feel like that's pretty nerdy. Not that any of us were like professional actresses. We were all very much cosplayers. But yeah, that was such a blast. Like the funny part about that is, like I said, we were more cosplayers than actresses.
Was that the one when you made cookies, or was that a different one I'm thinking of? Sorry. I've seen like a lot of Sailor Moon fan films, and I'm like, I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm like trying to remember. I'm like, was that me? I don't think so. But
sorry.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But our Sailor Moon fan film, like it was hilarious because it was, like it was just us having fun, cheesy script, like girls who are, again, cosplayers, not actresses. But at the same time, we had like the quality of a much better movie. Like we were using like the cameras that we used to film this were so legit. Like all the people working backstage, not that I say all it was like 5, but like the crew, the very small skeleton crew that helped make this movie, like they all brought their A game, and it was like such a professional production for like such a clear like fan love project. I'll send you all a link to it.
Please, because I am 100% sure I've seen it. I'm just trying to parse in my brain which one it is.
Okay, yeah. I'll send you a link.
I'm not even kidding. I watch every Sailor Moon fan film.
Well, ours is short. Like I've seen some long ones on the internet.
Yeah.
Ours is more like a Sailor Moon fan film short. What's funny is that I was talking to our Sailor Moon, and she was like, "Oh, we're probably we're moving soon, and we have a lot of what's the phrase? Something in the stove. We've got a lot of buns, and I don't know. Anyway, she basically, the Sailor Moon was like, I don't really know if we have the time. And then I posted about that in my stories recently, and Fred, the director, was like, well, actually, if we had the budget, like, we just don't want to run, like, she and I just don't want to run the Kickstarter. And I'm like, so you're telling me that if I run the Kickstarter, like, that it could maybe happen? And he was like, I mean, I'm not saying no.
Yes. Oh
So,
my gosh.
stay tuned.
Take my money.
Oh yeah.
Oh, amazing. So, last question. What about Sailor Moon has really stuck with you or changed you as a person? What makes it super special to you?
Without a doubt, and I do not feel like I'm being overly dramatic when I say this, I don't think I would be where I am, like right now at this moment, living this life, were it not for Sailor Moon, because Sailor Moon was the gateway drug that led me to cosplay. Cosplay was kind of the gateway that led me to it, like moving to Atlanta. I don't think I would have the friends I have. I certainly wouldn't have the hobby I have. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe some other anime would have, pushed me into it. But I don't know. I think Sailor Moon, I owe a lot of my personality to Sailor Moon, that's for sure. Definitely, I've built a large part of my personality around being a Sailor Moon fangirl. So yeah, I don't think I'd be who I am today without Sailor Moon. And I know I certainly probably wouldn't have the friends that I have without it, just, because of cosplay and a myriad of other reasons.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for letting us interview and talk about one of our favorite fandoms. We like to end the show with talking about cosplay horror stories. So we were wondering if you had one you want to share with us.
I do. And I have several, of course, because, when you've been cosplaying since 2004, you're going to have a horror story or two. So in thinking about what horror story I would bring, I have like the story that I've always wanted to submit to you guys, because it's just like such a classic cosplay fail. But in the interest of keeping everything Sailor Moon, I decided to go with a Sailor Moon themed horror story.
Yes.
And I wrote it down too, so I wouldn't forget any of the details. All right. So the year's 2007, and I am attending my second MegaCon with my best friend, former cosplay partner Diana. And I say former cosplay partner, not because like we're not friends anymore, but she just doesn't cosplay anymore. I have very hastily, very sloppily assembled an Eternal Sailor Jupiter costume to match her Eternal Sailor Mars. And her Eternal Sailor Mars is much better sewn than mine. I book us a hotel room at the Holiday Inn, which is one of the off-site host hotels for the con. And the plan was to put our costumes on as soon as we arrived, because we were arriving pretty late in the afternoon. It was a long drive from Auburn to Orlando, and then hit the con for some like evening shenanigans. However, we get to the hotel, and it turns out I have, in the infinite wisdom of a 19-year-old, booked the wrong Holiday Inn. So not the one across the street from the convention center, but one that is way off-site. And the hotel only runs, of course, like classic, very much a noob con goer move to like book the wrong holiday, the wrong host hotel. And of course, the hotel only. Yeah, that makes me feel better. But the hotel, I haven't. I'll tell you, I haven't done it since because
you learned that lesson. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. So it's the evening, and the hotel only runs shuttles there during the day. It was very much nighttime. So, but we're determined. So we still get into costume, thinking, well, we'll drive over to the con if we have to. So I put on my costume, and because it was a con crunch moment, which so many of my costumes are, I realized that it is very revealing. Like my butt is hanging out in the back, and it was built over. It was one of those like where it was built over a white leotard that I bought, and it was just all kind of like snapped into place. And so like even trying my best to like get it to kind of sit lower on my back, it just keeps just working its way, rising back up on my back. So like my little tushy was hanging out just a little bit too much for me to feel like, because it's when you have white bottoms, it just looks like your panties are flashing everyone. It made me very uncomfortable at the time. So Diane and I just get into costume. Well, we had already gotten into costume, so we just go down to the hotel lobby of this teeny tiny little Holiday Inn, took some pictures on a digital camera several miles from the con, and that costume never saw a con floor in its life. Probably for the best. But recently I posted recently an Instagram reel where I featured like kind of my evolution of Sailor Moon costumes, starting with that one in 2007, and then my Fuku, which I finally made like my real Fuku. It took me until 2013, so I cosplayed for 9 years before I finally decided to try and make a Fuku again, because I wanted to like build up all the skills to try and get it as accurate as possible. And I'd made other Sailor Moon costumes. I'd been dancing around the Fuku for years. But that was the first year that I made the Fuku. But anyway, so I posted this reel showing, here's 2007, here's 2013, here's 2016, and then here's my most recent 2022. And the amount of people in the comments who were like, the Eternal Sailor Jupiter was best. The first one was the best. And I'm just like, do y'all have eyes? Like that costume is correct. Yeah, definitely a lot of ageism though in that comments too. People were like, you look best then because you were actually young. And I was like,
yikes.
Dang. Middle fingers up.
I think people really underestimate how difficult a Fuku is to make, because they're like, it's just a simple, it's like a bathing suit. And you're like, no.
Absolutely not. Anytime you are merging the worlds of stretch and non-stretch, you're like in for a world of pain.
Oh my goodness. Well, Katie, it has been an absolute delight to interview you today. Can you give our listeners one more time your social media information so they know where to follow you?
I sure can. I can be found, I'm most active on Instagram. That's at Katie Cosplays, and a little bit on TikTok. I kind of come and go with TikTok, and that's at Katie Cosplays ATL. And I can't believe I didn't think to mention this until now. I also have an Etsy, and on my Etsy, I sell my Sailor Moon pattern.
Yes,
and I want to be very, very explicit. Is that the right word? I want to be very clear in that I mean literally my Sailor Moon pattern. So it is only available in one size, which is my size, because I've never gone through the R&D that it would take to do pattern grading down to like a small up to, in XXL or however I guess wide size range can be. But I would also like to plug that if you are looking for a more size inclusive pattern, my friend Momo Kurumi on Etsy also sells her much wider range. So mine just comes with instructions on how to grade it up or how to grade it down for your body type, whereas hers is very, very size inclusive. So
That's
you can
awesome.
find me on Etsy, I think, just by searching Katie Cosplays. I don't know if I have like a vanity URL for them or not. I can't recall.
Nice. Thank you. If y'all at home
That was
want
so
to
cool.
give us, I know, I'm going to go check it out right now. If y'all at home would like to reach out, give us a shout out, any kind of, I don't know, just drop us a line. You can do that at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com or
you can go to the website and fill out our forms there at cosplaystitchandseam.com. We are always looking for awesome topic suggestions like the one that was suggested for today, and now we're going to add some awesome and really fun fandom-based episodes. I'm excited for them. Or
go to the Facebook page, and while you're on the Facebook page, join our fantastic community and join our Work in Progress Wednesdays, Finished Fridays, whatever it is that you want to share. We would love to see it. We can also love to see it on our Discord. We know not everyone's a fan of Facebook, so Discord, Facebook. And while you're on the internet, if you want to give a helping hand to the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. That's you leave ratings now, Audible, wherever. We really appreciate it, and we'll even give you a shout out on the show for free. And while if you've got a few bucks in your pocket, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplay stitch. Some of the amazing people that we need to thank are welcoming Foxchild and Troffcause, Lydia, and returning Rose Does, Livy Cheney,
Oh, welcome.
Yggdrasil, Dr. Steggy, PB and James, Cynics, Hot Riku, Renamira, Jazzy Kofed, Jaguar Queen, Gloria Shu, Sudi, Shock H, and Silver Deeds.
Silver Deeds.
Silver Deeds.
We still have that awesome promo code with foxbeauty.store. You can use Stitch and Seam as your code to get 10% off. Thanks as always to Macy Roberts for the use of her music as our theme song, and David Jeffress for his amazing editing. How are your podcasts going, David?
They are going so good. For next month in Comic Trades Monthly, we are talking about Dark One by Brandon Sanderson. So if you're a Sanderson or a Fanderson, I am told that you might be, come join us on that episode. Tell us your thoughts of Brandon Sanderson. We would love to hear it. And we also have The Last Voice Season 2. We're like 5 episodes in, you guys. I can't hold back the barrier of all of the spoilers and everything coming up. So make sure that you listen, because I am so excited about the things that are happening to Gabe and the strange voice that happened at the end of season 1.
Nice.
Go listen.
Excellent. Well, I usually do a pun at the end of the episode, but did you know that all of the Senshi in Sailor Moon have puns as their names already? So like
No.
Tsukino Usagi is like the rabbit on the moon, and Mizuno Ami is the beauty of the water, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they might not quite translate the same in English, but I'll take it as a win to get a pun this week,
No wonder you like it.
even if I didn't have to plan it.
Ah!
Ooh. Bye, everybody. See you
Bye.
later, Katie. It was great to see you.